And so we focus on the story of the application, the urgent application that Jacob Zuma is making at the Pietermaritzburg High Court in connection with his imminent arrest. Let's cross now to my colleague Samkele Maseko. Thank you very much for joining us, Samkele. Of course, a lot of arguments put forward by Dali Mpofu there. I think he cited some 8 reasons, a combination of statute and a combination of common law as well. Just give us your take on proceedings this morning.
Essentially what you have is Advocate Dali Mpofu trying to prove a point that the Pietermaritzburg High Court does have the necessary jurisdiction to essentially have this issue of the permanent stay or the stay of arrest until the issue is properly ventilated to its conclusion at the Constitutional Court, that this court does have that jurisdiction. He was asked by Judge Beksisa Mnguni if this court does have the necessary jurisdiction. Dali Mpofu senior counsel trying to answer that question, citing a number of various case law studies that have taken place and various cases that have taken place. He went further to argue with the Judge Beksisa Mnguni that he will not go onto the merits of the rescission application currently at the Constitutional Court, where they will be going next week. We also had Advocate Toby, who will be coming up next after the 30-minute break to argue on a 5-point program that he has, particularly saying that the former president, as of the weekend, has been violating the various judgments that have been given against him by the Constitutional Court, in particular that he must now be behind bars. He's violated one of those conditions, as it did not report to any correctional services facility yesterday, which was his deadline. And also Advocate Toby saying that he's going to point out that this court does not have the necessary jurisdiction to make that particular judgment, and that the former president has been breaking all sorts and making all sorts of violations over the past weekend. Also going forward to say that when he comes back, he's going to be making a point that this court does not have that jurisdiction to have that stay of the execution of the arrest of the former president.
Samkele, the Judge Mnguni, asked Advocate Dali Mpofu a very basic and direct question as to why didn't he ask the Constitutional Court to basically hold off on the arrest warrant, so to speak. Why did he go to the Pietermaritzburg court instead? Did you understand what his response was?
It wasn't quite clear what the advocate's point was, but in some sort of aspect, he was essentially saying that the court does have the court that has the jurisdiction to stay the arrest of the former president Jacob Zuma would be this Pietermaritzburg High Court, because this is where essentially the former president is currently residing at. This is where the order or anything would have to come through from this particular court here at the Pietermaritzburg High Court. He was also going further to trying to expand and making a link between this particular court and how this court has the jurisdiction to make the determinant of staying the particular arrest of the former president, and also saying that the Constitutional Court is the one that has essentially been given this order that the former president and sentence must be incarcerated for 15 months, and that it would be a conflation of issues if this particular also issue of the stay of the arrest would go to the Constitutional Court.
And just very quickly, Samkele, of course, as you mentioned, Advocate Toby will be taking over after the adjournment. What can we expect from him?
Advocate Toby says that he's got 5 points to put across in 5 themes to Judge Beksisa Mnguni. One being that this court does not have the jurisdiction to stay the arrest of the former president. Also going further to saying that he's going to point out on why it does not have the jurisdiction, and also how the former president has been in violation of the Constitutional Court order over the past weekend, and also his public utterances that he was making on the various podiums that he was at over the weekend, particularly addressing those members of the governing party that had gathered outside his house. So he essentially says that he's got 5 points that he's going to make in his presentation once the sitting resumes post the 30-minute break that has been taken. But it seems as if many people whom have been particularly paying attention to this particular sitting, have been having various views, particularly when Advocate Dalimpofu was asked if this court has the necessary jurisdiction to stay the arrest of the former president.